Hello everyone and welcome to V Throttle. Today we are going to do something really special and everyone was waiting for it, but most of the people have actually done it. But this is my review and also a comparison between the Himalayan and the Adventure, which is the Yazdi or Mahindra or Java. So whatever, but then it is the Yazdi Adventure that we have here, and along with that I have my own Himalayan, and we are comparing both of the motorcycles, how they feel to go on road and off road, and what are the major differences, point to point differences that will differentiate here. With me is Dr. Karthik. He owns this motorcycle, and we will also ask him what he felt different about both the motorcycles, because he was riding mine, I was riding his, and I will also share what exactly was there, what we felt. So let's start. Here it is, and let's see if this is comparable to that. Let's just hop on. So here's the dashboard. It says hi, and then you have all the lights on the top. It's Bluetooth connectivity and a little navigation system. So far my feet are on the ground. Looks good. So let's just start the bike. It's grunty. The foot pegs are up high, so I have to bend my knees a little bit more than what I do on my Himalayan. First gear, let's roll. Is average fuel consumption or average fuel efficiency is 22 kilometers per liter. So the bike seems rev happy and instantly goes up to 70-80 without any hesitation. I'm sitting relaxed, my knees are a little bit more bent. The handlebar is at a right position, I guess, because my elbows are free. The acceleration is decent. You have to pull the throttle a little bit harder than you do on your Himalayans. Thankfully there are extremely less vibrations in the rear view mirror than the Himalayan. The braking feel is also good. I can feel that the brakes are stronger, the bite is stronger. So you get the charger here, just like the Scrambler that we did on our last video. So this is a liquid cooled motor, 30 oddish horsepower and 13 newton meters of torque. The best part is now 6th gear is extremely helpful on the highway for easy cruising and less stress on the engine. This is a short stroke motor. This is a rev happy engine, and as you can see the idling is also around 1500 rpm. So far the suspension is good, but a little bit bumpier. The clutch feels quite eager. The seat is really hard. I don't know what was Yazdi thinking, but it's quite wide, so just with the change of form or the cushioning, I think this will make a lot of difference, because it's wide, so you sit in a better position. But it doesn't feel like you're on a big motorcycle, big as in, you know, the adventure sort of motorcycle. It feels it still feels like a street or a naked bike, because of the riding posture, obviously, because I wasn't expecting my knees to bend that much while sitting. But the gearbox is crisp and the acceleration is good. things get really bad when it gets bumpy. I don't know how the suspension is going to work off the road. On the road, oh, it's hard, man. It's hard. And while going into the corner, much more stable, much more stable. So far the torque distribution is good, I guess, because as I've heard, it's not creating me that sort of problem actually. It doesn't knock that quickly. Oh yeah, there it comes. There's the knocking thing. So you have to downshift a couple of gears to match the revs with the speed. Again, you have to keep on shifting the gears every now and then, but it revs freely and happily. The seat is really hard. I cannot stop complaining about it. I don't know why, but this is so wrong. Okay, so here you have the road mode. ABS is on. Okay, in road mode it will engage less than the rain but more than off-road. We are on the highway on a purpose, and the purpose is to check how it feels to ride on the highway. Is it comfortable? Can we overtake buses or trucks? But while I'm on 6th gear, it feels like it's quite tall, and then I have to rev a little bit longer because the speedometer goes slowly onto those numbers. But when you're on the Himalayan, and just suppose you're doing what, 90 to 100, you open the throttle, I think that revs up, or the torque comes in pretty handy on the Himalayan, because it's available low down at around 4,500-600 RPM and starts at around 4,000, and even less than that. The exhaust note is quite audible. Okay, yeah, so talking about the shifting, yes, as you can see that there's like a good space available at the gear lever. But I just noticed that although it's smaller on the Himalayan, but then it still has a lot of room. But kudos to Yazdi for thinking about it, and they have better foot pegs, like they are wider and bigger, and also with the removable rubber. So while going off-road, you can remove them and, you know, just do your fun, do the trails. So I just stood up on the bike. The handlebar is still up front, so you might need risers on it. That is important because I am 5'10". My height is 5 feet 10 inches, and while standing up I have to bend quite significantly. There's another reason. It's funny, I just noticed that even on the Scrambler and Adventure both, when you sit on the motorcycle, you're absolutely comfortable. Your handlebar or your elbows are free, but while standing up there's a problem. And the reason is that because the foot pegs are set up high, so while sitting it's no problem, but when you stand up, obviously when your foot pegs are up high, you need that reach, or you need the handlebars to be taller. Obviously with your knees bent, it would be hard for you to stand up. Without those risers, it's such a waste standing up. The big question, does the windscreen work? Well, it is almost the same as the Himalayan, but I think this is working better than the Himalayan. The wind deflection on this one seems better. Maybe the shape, because it's much more flatter. On the other hand, on the Himalayan, the wind is right onto your face. And also there's this difference of the tank. With the Himalayan you get a tank with a cutout, okay? Now with that cutout your knees are holding the tank in a better way, like squeezing up the tank, okay? But on this it's wider, so your knees are also wider, so you may not be able to balance yourself in a better way than the Himalayan. Talking about the handling now. So how does it handle? Well, it turns pretty quick and has a very good handling. It is quite responsive in terms of the steering. Now here's some bad patch. Oh, funny suspension setting. So there's this popping sound. That is because they've given a DB killer on their bike. So the main reason I bought the Himalayan was that that's an air-cooled engine and maybe last of its kind, because they'll extinct really soon. All the motorcycles are coming up with liquid cooled engines now. So as they said, there's no replacement for displacement, and that is because obviously this has better horsepower and 6 gears and everything, but then maintaining a high speed continuously on a smaller engine is a bit difficult than a bigger engine. So I'm revving it so hard. After 100 kilometers an hour, obviously Java excels because of its shorter stroke motor. Obviously when you rev it higher, you'll get better top speeds on this. Surprisingly, this bike is stable as well. Can go really fast, but after like 100 kilometers an hour, this thing was doing 128 or 30 on the 5th gear. That is so good. I'm sure the top speed would exceed that quite easily. It's the traffic because of which I'm unable to do it. If you're looking for a highway ride, I love you Himalayan, but this is winning my heart with this engine. I don't know why, but yes, surprisingly this is growing on me now. So I hopped back onto my Himalayan now, and oh, it feels so good to be back on the Himalayan. I don't know why, because of the seat or the suspension or whatever, but this feels really good. I can finally stand straight. My bum's got a better seat. The handlebar, obviously it has been changed, but then nonetheless the original handlebar is also good. I'm cruising on 80 without any effort at just 4000 RPM. So you can get onto that speed quite easily I think it was a struggle on the Yazdi. And when you open the throttle, you don't have to shift the gear. Just be on the 5th gear, open the throttle, and boom, there you go. Oh man, the torque from this motor, the delivery is so good. Himalayan को कैसे हारने देंगे भाई? So guys, if you have the Himalayan, I think there is a lot to cheer up, because Yazdi has managed to make extremely better motorcycle than many bikes out there. Extremely handy, helpful, useful, but I think they have still missed out on a lot of things. You choose either one of them, you're not going to be on the wrong side. So on the corners, the balance of Himalayan is also good, but not as good as the Yazdi. While leaning into the corner, that feels more planted and also has a better turning if you compare it with the Himalayan. You can have better leaning angles with the Adventure. On the other hand, with the Himalayan, yeah, it moves outside the line. On higher speeds, I guess on the corners, Adventure is better. But coming out of that slow speed, you would really admire the Himalayan's throttle response. The gear shifting on both the motorcycles is smooth.